Hi everyone, welcome to this moment and the Diamond Weathering, presented by Caroline Atkins. Welcome back everyone. We're here to illuminate the core of the feminine force. And we have a special guest in our feminine first stage this evening. And Lisa, would you like to introduce our guests, please?
I certainly will. So I'm very excited this morning because these two women are very special to me. You all know that I work with Carolyn and we've got this beautiful relationship that's been flourishing. But Carol is one of my oldest, dearest friends. So I'd love to introduce you to Carol Atkins. She's an artist and she's an Atkins. She's also an intuitive healer. And for me, she's just been this beautiful, eclectic mix of person that has been so supportive to me on my journey. And I thought it would be wonderful to have her on and just to talk to her a little bit about how she works and how mothers may be able to use some of the skills and the inspiration that she brings to her own work. So hello, Carol. How are you this morning?
I'm very good, very good. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming. Lovely to meet you both. Sorry, Lisa, I didn't. Okay, so how I guess meet you both on this platform. That's awesome. How I work and the way I was thinking about it this morning, and I've used a lot of. I mean, I have two kiddies who are adults now, but I would use a lot in the early days. It was all to do with when they were really, really little, we used homeopathy because it worked a lot within their emotional body, and that's what I was really also interested in. And then from there, it graduated to using a lot of bush flower essences. I think over where you are, Caroline, it would be bark flowers.
Okay.
They have been wonderful as well. And then from there, because my background was I would do massage, I'd be like right into body work and stuff like that, reflexology. So when the kiddies were little, they'd get their massage or they'd get their little reflexology. And I was remember when I was working, I came home from class and I was like, this is amazing. I can't wait. So I'm grabbing their feet and I'm working on their feet. And I was like, how can they have all these blocks? They're only little, but what is going,
Wow.
on in their field? And it was just, and that's where it was really, really interesting to see, it was, more than just our body and everything else that was going on. And from there, I sort of went on to got more interested in it. Not that I was actually looking for it, but I was just sort of becoming more aware of their energy fields and who they are and what they're capable of. And then, and the more that I asked, the more people kept popping in that would sort of course correct me and go, oh, you need this book, or you need to go to that kinesiology or ologist with them, or did it. So I was just listening and following that direction. And then we moved to Byron Bay when my kiddies were 2 and 4. And then I was busy working in body work and stuff like that. And then I started running these little children of light classes, I call them. And it was really interesting because, these kiddies, they can see auric fields. They're really aware of energy. They're really aware of our energy, the way that we are holding ourselves, the way that we are saying something, but they're like, you're not actually saying what you want to say, So it's like just really aware of it all. So anyway, I was running these classes and they were really, 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 really interesting. And I'd have some of the parents sitting there, but it just showed the parents just how much these kiddies, I'm saying kiddies because they were little, like these kids do, and we'd do, would read the auras or would pick up colours and then that went on for a bit, but the whole thing around that was quite often you go to school and you'd hear, oh, my daughter's had a really bad nightmare or she's having not sleeping. And I'd be like, okay. And I, you know, and if, when the time was right and you would open up a conversation, it'd be all right. Well, you're looking at their main field, and it's about really bringing balance to that field and really going, okay, let's open it up and expand it, because why is that child or that, you know, that beautiful, beautiful angelic being choosing to just close down a bit to try and fit in? And that causes some emotional disturbance within them, rather than going, let's just open it all up. And for us parents to go, we're really aware of that child and how amazing that light is, and I get it opened all up so we can work with it on that level. And that's when I started going, all right, there's more to this. So looking at kids if they're having nightmares, really clearing their, I mean, you can have awareness, or you can just, you know, it's all about setting intentions. You can ask, you can go, all right, you know, because, you know, say their spirit and your spirit, they already know what's going on, and you just go, I need help. Can you align my beautiful child to their most possible highest light, and asking anything there, thou, that be cleansed and cleared from them, so that they can, you know, they can get on with their day. But another thing I used to do would be like, okay, their main colour, or one colour that they really liked, say it was gold for my son, I'd be like, okay, we're going to put that everywhere in your room, under your bed, in your drawers. It's pure gold. That's your colour that you work with, and isn't it safe? And to take them on a story on that field. And then my daughter was like light blue. But in correlation to all of that, kids see colour, kids see energy, and that whole field of working with them when they're young, it's just like keeping them open. But you can also start tapping into that at any time. It doesn't have to be when they're little. It can be whenever and whenever. And really talk to them about energy blocks, energy drainers in other people, why they, you know, they go out and they're really excited that they come back and feeling really flat. You know, looking at all of that, looking at the way that they might shrink their energy to fit in with others, rather than just being their, you know, their full diamond potential, and just going, this is who you are, master. You know, you're a master in that. Don't dim it to fit in with that. Yeah, so that's all of that juicy stuff. That's what I. That's
amazing, absolutely amazing, isn't it, Lisa?
Yeah,
I know
I
you
love
know Carol, but I haven't met Carol for people like I've the first time I've met her just now. So it's lovely to hear all your experience, and especially working with the little kids, because I wasn't familiar with that work even, you know. Yeah, it's really beautiful. So thank you for all that. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
So I've seen that work, like, you know, that because for me, I tend to not. I mean, I guess that sensitive part of me was shut down fairly early, and even though my intuition is really, really lately just cranking up, I know that for me to do that sort of work, like I have to consciously remember to do it. It's not something that sort of comes naturally, and I know just, you know, even for me, like I can feel really low, and like I know a couple of weeks ago, I just woke up feeling really just not quite right, and you know, I had a day where I was just like, oh, you know, it's really bad, and then I realized I actually had to clean the house, and when I cleaned the house, I shifted the energy. I moved things around, because it hadn't been cleaned for a while because I was so busy, and it wasn't dirty, but it was just, you know, like sort of stagnant. You know, you just had to wipe over a few things and put a few things away, and I did that, and I lit some incense. And I could not believe, without even, I wasn't even thinking about it. I just went, actually, I feel really good now. And I'm like, okay, I just had to clean my space and clear the energy, you know. So I do know it works. And even, you know, with my daughter, Carol suggested that I, you know, just really have the intention that she wakes up and that she has a clear, like she wakes up in a new day, like almost, what did you say, reset? Like, so she resets every morning.
Yeah. There's such an opportunity to have a reboot every day, and really honouring whatever went on yesterday. You have that infinite power within you to go, today is going to be the best day ever, and everything always works out for me. And it's really to really start harnessing that, and allowing, you know, those teenage girls that are constantly looking in all the wrong places, to go, I know I can call that in myself. I can cultivate that, and I think that's to have those experiences. And then once but it is, sometimes it does feel like pushing up the hill, like up
Yeah,
the mountain.
I think the mum though has a great opportunity to set that for the daughter though, because that's what I started to do with Lauren. Like, say from the age of around 9 or 10, I realized that the energetic thing that you were talking about, like there was something speaking to each, there was something going on that was non-verbal, we'll say, that kind of way. And I started to get really kind of curious about that. I didn't know anything about energy work or anything like that, but I just thought that it was like she had an awareness of what was in my mind and my body mind, we'll say. And, I was become very careful then about what I was thinking, how I was feeling, in myself, because I realized that whatever I was feeling was being automatically transmitted over to her.
Yeah.
So then I started like kind of really being conscious about that, like that basically whenever I was kind of out of sorts, that she'd get out, I could see she would be out of sorts, even if she wasn't in the same room as me. I could have been downstairs and she was upstairs, that kind of way. So I was noticing this was, so then I got really conscious about it, and I started to like that, getting up early in the morning and making sure I was in perform. And then so that when they start off the day, that was a really, really important point in the morning, to be in a nice state, for them to wake up into like in the atmosphere, and then that kind of, because yourself when you do that yourself, but as a mum, when you do that and the kids wake up into that field as such, I felt that made a huge difference and made things go much more smoothly, in the morning, getting
I know.
and then off to school, like in a nice kind of atmosphere, I suppose, so I can resonate, even though I don't understand everything that you're talking about, but I actually in practice it definitely works, when I
that's
had
the magic. I mean, it's the magic. It's to I think it's like they feel it on so many levels, it's just it's that creating, I keep putting it down to magic. It's creating that magic and that flow and that, I mean, it's such a powerful connection, and it opens up to so much more love. And I think personally for me, it has helped a lot in that navigation of, you want to really hang out with that group of friends, or like it's because you can tell them, they don't hear, but it's just like, okay, I'm just going to hand all that over and ask that they hang, they're hanging with the best friends that are really, really good for them, and things open up. Because if I step in and go, have a little chat, they don't want to hear it sometimes. So it's like just stepping back a bit and allowing, just really, really getting crystal clear on the right, the vibration and the right vibration of who's really good for them. And it's almost like giving them, it's like an energetic doorway to go, oh, actually, no, I'm really going to go down here now. And it's really lovely to sit back and observe just how these little course corrections start. But I think it's also being in the divine feminine, working with your daughter. It's because I do have a son as well, and it was just I am aware of the daughter dynamic is it's more what's the word, entwined, I don't know, like not entwined, but there's a different energy.
It's good what you said then too, because I've worked with, actually I was speaking to someone yesterday, and he was actually saying to me how what he'd noticed when he had his daughter was that the parent can often see that the child is in an unmanageable situation, and that the child is just like, they can see that what's happening is not good for them. Like, his child had eating issues. And so for him, it was like, we could see, but it's like, what could we do with it? And he said, we didn't know what to do. And you could throw money at it until the cows came home. But if she doesn't see it as a problem, then all that money is not going to help. Yeah. And so that, for us, because we talk about that too, it's like we have to start to work intuitively, which is what we teach, and bringing in this energetic awareness as well. I know for me that's really helped. It's like, I can't do anything about anything, but what I can do is sit back in my power and actually connect with her higher self or her spirit, and just be asking that things happen for her to help her course correct, and that, and see that in my mind's eye too, like see that support. And so you are working, like you're saying, Carol, and you're working on a another level. And I mean, and so we should, because we are human beings. We have so many facets of us, you know, and why shouldn't we? You know, everything is energy down to the lowest little atom. So why doesn't it make sense that we work on this level as well?
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
And I think actually even allowing them to, I think you mentioned in one of your stories as well, allowing them to have that discernment, because they need to understand contrasts as well, you know, like the different energies, you know, so they need to be able to feel like what one path feels like, experience some of that, so that they can, and then experience another avenue, you know, so that they can discern then, you know, which way to go, you know. So I always feel like it's like art, you know, if you were an artist, Carol, you know, like contrast is such a big part of a composition of a painting. Like you have to have strong contrast in a painting. I always think that life is like that as well. Like we just need contrast. We know we need movement, we need color, we need, it's all the design principles, like a play all the time, you know, composition and your focus and your, you know, balance and all that. It's all part of like life, you know. And I think the contrast is really important, to allow children to experience contrast so that they can find their way, you know, their energetic way, you know.
And they pick up on things, don't they, kids? Like, you know, like you're saying, Carol, they do know, and often because we've had to shut down those parts of ourselves, or, you know, we've had life experiences and maybe we've forgotten that we also had we were sensitive to other things, or we were more intuitive. Perhaps we've moved away from that because of the way we've been raised in our culture. But our children do have experiences. Like, you know, I can remember my daughter when she was younger. There were times that she would hide behind me, or there were times, even as a baby, she would shake when people came into her field. And I actually became really aware of it. And rather than saying, oh, she's just shy, and like pulling her out and making her say hello to that adult, which is what my mum did to me, I actually thought she's aware of something in this person that doesn't make her feel comfortable. So I would just say to that person, oh, she just doesn't feel like talking right now. You know, like I would just like totally allow her to be there, because I did notice if I tuned in, even as a baby, if she went like that and I tuned into that person, there was something that I didn't feel comfortable with either. But because I'd been shut down over so many years and being told to deny my own intuition, I hadn't picked it up straight away, but she picked it up, right? So I actually watched her for cues as to who I should be hanging out with, and the people, you know, I was watching her as a baby, because she was like so pure, you know, like she just felt it.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
It was an amazing situation.
Like a litmus test, you know, like they are like that, aren't they? A litmus test, you know, like, you know? And then also it's the opposite as well. If there's somebody that they love, they'll come running out, you know, like, you know, you know, and then just like, there'll be no fear kind of thing, you know, so it works both ways, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's so, we're so encouraged to shut that down. And kids, like, you know, you think about it, you know, I did that with my old children, I'm sure, not my older children, you know, that thing where you're like, you're going somewhere and you're in a hurry and you've got your kids and they're just like, we don't want to go, Mum, we don't want to go. And you're just like, come on, we're going, you know, because as adults, we're just like, this is what we're doing. We don't stop to feel how it feels for us to be in that situation. We've just got it in our mind that that's what we're doing, you know, and so this feeling world that, you know, that we want to really open up, because it really gives us the most precise guidance, you know, if we can start to feel into it. And like you, I mean, I think you've all had experiences like that, haven't you? When your kids are like saying like there's a lot of resistance and you're like, well, what's really going on here, you know?
Exactly. You're just doing, we do a lot of stuff for you know, by duty, and like we should do it, you know, this kind of, it's been kind of ingrained into us. It should do it, have to do it. There's no, you know, like, and when you start listening to yourself, then I always say that when I hear myself saying I should do this, I go, hold on a second now. You have to question that. Where did that come from? There's nothing that you should do, you know. Have a little look at that. You know?
I know. It's got to get you thinking about what you're, you know, what you're saying, and are you actually saying the right, you know, not that it's like you can hear it sometimes when you say something, you're like, that's not, I don't, that's that's my upbringing or something that's just not quite right. It's come out all wrong, and let's just
that's
have
not
a
that's not my voice. I would say that's somebody else's voice. Somebody else
Yeah.
has made that.
Yeah. That's true, because it often is,
and
right?
just the reactions as well.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, obviously they will show you something, they'll do something. It's like the reaction that you instantly feel, and it's just like, whether it either be, sometimes if it's not the right reaction you want, it's just like, is that, that's really like, that is what you were just saying. It's like really ingrained, isn't it? It's very an old reaction to maybe your parents might have reacted to that situation, and you do the, am I reacting in that field as well, or am I? But you catch yourself. It's good. It's always good when you become like the third person and you can catch yourself and you go, no, that's not right. That's not the right way.
Am I consciously making that decision, or am I doing it from some kind of pattern? And have you found, like, just I'm curious about the treatments you're talking about with the kids, like any transformational stories, like from children that have had clearings, or maybe medical, or just some examples of children you've worked with.
There's been a few. I'm just trying to see what comes to mind. A distance session, I've been working with her, with the mother, and we organised it to do when her little one, he was 5 when he was about to go to sleep, so she was lying there with him. So it was a distance session, which, as I say to clients, it works the same. I can be in person, phone, distant, or Zoom. So it opens up the way. So then this one was, I was working on an energetic level, doing a distance session as this little one was going to sleep, and then she, at the end of the session, the mum rang and said, because the main thing that he was quite closed off because of the separation and all that, and she said he just rolled over and put his hand on my head and said, "Mummy, it's okay. Everything is okay." It's like, I know. So there's that, and then there's definitely working with teenagers in school situations, bullying. If I'm working with, there's lots of different. I'm sort of just picking out bits and pieces because there's lots of different things and different scenarios. And if I'm working with kids, quite often they'll sit there with their mum, because I like to have the mum. If there's mum's not available, then we'll go with the dad. But it's quite often the mother that I'll have them. And so we work on that energetic level through the kids. If the kiddies, they don't really. Sometimes they're aware of what we're talking about, but quite often they don't actually need to be in the room. They can still move around and stuff, and I can just then talk to the mum, and we work on open up the mum's energy to work then with the child on that level. And then as my last client, she was what was she, 15? Parents are very open to it, and it was just that she was in the wrong school, wrong, whole different environment. It was too chaotic, too wild, no boundaries. This girl loved, she wanted to feel safe. She wanted to have a safe environment. And so they went, okay, and they got her into another school, and it was just like, and the change, complete change, like literally. And it's like to do with that child really just wanting to have, because it was quite free, there was no, this child structure. Really wanted structure and wanted to have a really the connecting also in with the teachers on a certain level as well. And so there's just a few.
So you're picking up really what kids, because often kids don't have the capacity to be able to verbalize what they're feeling, and they probably don't even have the life experience. I mean, like, really, I was 37 because I could, before I even worked out what I was feeling, right? So, they may not even be able to work out what it is that's wrong. So, exactly. I can see how that would be of great benefit. You're in there and you're feeling into, what's really going on, and to be given like a third, like a voice, that somebody can be the interpreter for those dynamics,
It's amazing, because there's so much information that comes like from when you're open to that in your body. Like we were talking about this before as well, like a non-verbal communication. that kind of transparent communication. I've heard Thomas Hooper call it, and you know, that you're kind of picking up information, lots of additional information like that. Maybe, yeah, we can't verbalize in as much complexity as the energetic field can give you. You know, it can give you much more complex information very quickly. You know, than, because the voice is very limited in. It's fantastic to be able to
and
speak, but it's very, very limited. Our voice,
Yeah.
you know, our way of communication with words. So when it comes to the energetic field, it's highly, you know, advanced nearly. You know, there was a lot more information that can come very readily, very quickly, and very much more complex and more individualized.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's much more specific, isn't it?
Because
and then, like you were saying, getting stuck to Carol. That's true. Like, you know, it took me a long time to be able to say what I felt, you know, because it was stuck. We had patterns, right, that had kept us held back.
Yeah, exactly. That's a huge thing, a block, isn't it? I had that myself as well. You know, like kind of, it's not until I went to the college and went into deep retreat that I got the voice. My voice came, even though, you know, the way it was. It's amazing, isn't it? That something that's locked is like it's locked inside of the child, you know. And how do you help that to come out? But you know, it's I suppose when we're in standardized systems and stuff like that with education, it's difficult for some kids that like that. It's interesting when you said the freedom.
Who are highly sensitive, you know, who I mean, they certainly can, you know, see energy, read energy, feeling it. It might be then go, oh, well, that kid's just got a lot of anxiety. You know, it's just like, so then it's like all these other little labels and things start happening. It's just like, it's just, I'm all about looking at really what's going on in the auric field, which also affects the emotional body. And then you know, a lot of my work is in the emotional body, and that's where we go to. Whereas a lot of parents or teachers are working very much in their mental body. And it's like, well, what's all this? We've got this beautiful child here, but it's got all this energy that's like, okay, we've got to keep it all closed down and just work in a certain format. But it's just, I mean, that can go on and on and on, but it's just interesting to find that within yourself. So as a parent, like for me, it's like I found that harnessing this energy, the questioning, almost like, you know, you go into question time with the universe or the universal flow, and you have that little question time, and you're asking, and it's like, okay, I'm it's getting a little bit too much now. I don't know exactly. You know, when you get like, sorry, I'm going. It's like you can ask and ask and ask.
Yeah.
And there's like you're getting the same answer over and over again. But if you're not open to listen to that answer or take action on that answer, well, then it becomes stagnated, and you will start to feel it. So it's like, oh, that's the same message I'm getting or receiving or I'm feeling, or that same person keeps coming in that I'm still ignoring. Maybe I need to have a connect in with them. So just be aware of when you start really asking for things and just how things start lining up and taking the action to meet that, you know, that thing that's coming through.
That's a really important point, actually, because that's like, I think that's really kind of gets into the advanced stage when you're starting to, like, when you take insight and then you learn to act on it straight away. That creates
Don't question it, just do it.
The dynamic mode, you know, that intuitive innovation that I keep talking about. If you can train yourself to like trust it so much and be open to it, hearing it, and then act on it straight away, and then it like that just has this really massive effect on like your creativity and everything like that, and relationships and moving things forward, like, you know. So you're kind of get into a rhythm of that, then, you know, it becomes like the rhythm in your life that you're just working from there, and you kind of trust it more and more. But it's funny, I loved your point that about children, about you know, the freedom sometimes in creative kids, you know, like say if some children are very creative and they want to, you think, oh, maybe they need lots of freedom and lots of a school that would suit them, would be very creative and very open. And then another time, sometimes actually that child definitely needs structure. And I noticed that with my daughter as well, because I thought she needed structure. So even though she was very creative, I felt she needed structure. And I sent her to secondary school that gave her structure. And actually it really kind of did benefit her, because I think it would have been too much and too overwhelming because of the stimulation for a school that would be too free and open, you know, that kind of way. So it's like you have to be aware of that as well, don't you? Like with somebody, they take so much in that kind of sometimes that can be kind of overwhelming for them as well. So it's so unique, isn't it, Lisa? Like we're talking about the unique diamond design. Like it really is just getting in tune with the individual child, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's probably why it's so important to get in tune, because every child is unique, right? And especially sometimes they're not unique in a way that we feel comfortable with. You know, in fact, more often that's the case, right? So it's like our capacity to be able to sit back and actually try to be out of that reaction, to come back into our power and to look at that, you know, like you're saying, Carol, to witness what's going on and to ask and invest, well, why is it that I'm reacting? Why can't I just allow my child to be like this for right now? Because our mind will tell us that it's a permanent thing, but actually no, just in this moment is how they're turning up right now. We don't have to label them. We don't have to say they're this or they're that, because, you know, like the natural flow of life, it's always changing. And so the moment that we're having with this child is always changing. And if I label them, then I've instantly put them in a fixed state for the rest of their life, and they have to carry that label. And it's like labeling is like, you know, even like I remember when I was younger, my mum used to say, oh, she's really shy. She's really shy. Now, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. Maybe I just felt uncomfortable in that situation. But the thing is, I'm going to turn up now every other time as a shy kid because I've been told that that's what I am, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, it's like just allowing.
I was the same. I was so shy, and you internalize it then as an identity, and that's probably why we had problems with our boys for so long, you know, because it's like you just like it's like it closes it down, and you just go, okay, I'm shy, so that means I don't talk, you know, and you know it just goes in. Yeah, so then when it's not until you do your work and you find your true self and you realize, oh, I'm actually not shy, I'm able to talk. And, you know,
I'm actually the most extroverted person in the world, right?
You can't shut us up now, Lisa. I wish you were a bit shy, could you?
Yeah. And, you know, like I was thinking before, I had this experience when I was a teenager. I was a wayward teenager because my dad left when I was about 13, and I was at a very vulnerable growth situation in my life, and my mum didn't handle it well because my mum had like worked all her life, and her whole mission was that her and dad could retire and live happily ever after, and so she felt like she had been betrayed, but also he just left her, and everything that she'd been working for was gone. And my mum really, I watched my mother lose about 15 kilos in about 3 weeks. Like it was horrifying.
Oh, wow.
And I knew that something was wrong, but nobody said anything, right? So there was like this big pink elephant in the room until some parent finally said something. But for me, my reaction to that, because my dad just sort of left, was to act out. And I had all this emotion. And we talked about this actually on the live yesterday, Carol. It was like, I felt all this emotion, but I actually knew there was nowhere for me to go with it, because I knew that, you know, the adults around me had no capacity to hold my emotional state. There was no space there for me to express it. So I acted out, and I became really naughty. Like I was really, my poor mum, honestly, she was going through all that. And then she had this teenager that was just like this rebel. I just wouldn't listen to her. I was just like, and she would say, well, if you do that, you're not going out tonight. And I'm like, well, I'll just go out tonight as well. You know, like you can't stop me now. You won't be able to stop me later. You know, so I was like a horrible, I apologize to her a lot since then, right? I've really made it up to her. So, but I was really like, and this was going on for some time, and I got myself into trouble. I was always really lucky just to be slightly outside of the big trouble. So like I was so looked after. But what really changed my trajectory and helped me a lot, maybe, you know, sort of maybe gave me a bit of an understanding, was one of my girlfriend's mums was an astrologer. And I met her, and she took me under her wing, and she started to teach me astrology charts, and she started to take me to workshops, and she started to introduce me to more. It was like, you know, there's more than what you are. Like, because I always sensed that there was this intelligence or this divine, whatever you want to call it. I always was really connected to that. I always felt like I trusted there was something there that I knew that I felt. But she was actually showing me, that this is what that's called, and this is how this plays out in people's lives, and this is what other people have experienced. And then I do astrology charts because this allows me to use that energy to actually get clear on where I'm going. And for me, as like a 15-year-old by that stage, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is just what I had to hear. And it just gave me this understanding that there was a meaning, that there was a purpose, that there was more to this life than me acting out and feeling like I just, whatever I was feeling at the time. And so, I often think about that because I think we really want to get our daughters engaged in themselves. We really want them to have a relationship with themselves. And some of the things that we offer them are not that interesting to them. But I think this sort of whole side of things, for me, it was like my parents never talked about, like my parents didn't even know about sort of stuff. My mum, God love her, right? She took me to the astrology shop in the middle of the city. And she said to me, you just buy all the books you need, darling. And I spent $800 on astrology books. Like, she was just so supportive of me. She was probably just thinking, oh, my God, thank God there's a solution. But she, she was just so, she had no idea what it was about. She was just like, I could have been taken there anyway, really. But she's just like, I'll fully support you to do this, and it was really good because then I started doing all my friends' star charts and, it gave me a bit of a purpose. So I haven't done it for a really long time, but I'm just sharing that because there's so many things that can happen that give our daughters, especially when they're feeling a bit lost and like they don't fit in, can allow them to come back into that part of themselves that maybe hasn't been expressed.
Yeah, and like to explore their uniqueness, the way, like, I think that's being curious about yourself, like, that kind of like what makes me a bit different, like, and celebrate being different rather than trying to be the same as everybody else, that kind of way, like switch it on its head, like everybody wanting to be the same on Instagram or whatever. No, like, look, what's unique about you, like, and just even giving little questions to them, especially teenagers, because they have that curious mind, and if they can go inside and start like getting curious about themselves, and like even like their, like you said, star charts or their horoscope, or I know there's a huge movement around the crystals and stuff, which is great because they're getting interested in energy and things like that, and it's really it's a nice exploration for them, like, as well. A thing that it's a little bit, I suppose, like, teenagers love to explore and to try and find out new things, and I suppose it's a nice avenue for them to go down as well, isn't it? That's kind of safe, but it's always about going within and finding out what's unique about you. Like, so I always, when I talk to Lauren, I try to talk to her like that, about like, like finding out about what's different about her in comparison to others, or her little traits, and kind of celebrating those, like, that kind of way. And then it gives them, it paints that picture, because like, Carol, being like, again, an artist as well, I always feel like when you're talking to children, you're painting a picture in their mind. I always look at it like that. The words you use, things you say, it's all painting a picture within their minds. Like what we were talking about, the shyness, like that was painted in our minds, like on a canvas within our minds, what we carried with us all the time. We just could see, all we could see then was the canvas of that as we looked through our perception of ourselves into life. And then when you're using your words and how you speak, and if you can kind of be curious about your child and what's unique about them, and then speak to that to them, then you're painting that lovely picture of who they actually are, so they can see who they are, and then they can see themselves in the world, in their uniqueness,
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. That's beautiful. We should put that on a t-shirt. That's so sweet. Like, what a memory. And how simple too. That. Like, so simple.
Yeah. It is. It's beautiful. It's lovely. Like, you can feel that on so many levels when you were talking. My daughter said, not just recently, because I'm sitting on the couch having a chat. Mum, she put her hand up. She goes, Mum, why can't you just be like other mums? Why do you have to be so positive all the time? I'm like, and then she actually said, I just want you to hear me. And I'm like, I'm hearing you, but there's only so far I can travel down that, what you're telling me, because it's like, it's and then I was trying to express to her, but she probably wasn't open to hearing it, that you can keep saying that stuff and it doesn't resolve anything, or you can look at what you're saying, how even from you saying that to me, but look how it's affecting you. That's, you're putting, it's like the the Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore, and he has these cloud around him. It's like, well, you can have the sunshine, or you can walk around with a cloud. It's like you're choosing this. It's really just being aware. And I love your description of also about the painting and the canvas, and really enjoying the flow and the colours and the movement of the day. And doesn't that make you feel good? And yeah, I think. So that was interesting.
That I've had a similar situation to that, where it's almost like sometimes they can get into a really deep emotional state, but they can get really involved in being a victim. And that what I noticed, because I had the same thing, it's like, you're not hearing me. And I'm just like, do you want me to hear your feelings, or do you want me to affirm that you're a victim? Because I'm not going to stand here and say, yes. And I think maybe that's why, like for me, it was like I said to her, do you think that you don't feel heard because I'm not jumping in there and drowning with you? Okay, you're down the well and you're asking me to jump in and drown with you. And you feel that if I don't say, yes, you poor thing, isn't this terrible, I'm just going to jump in here and drown with you. You think that I'm not hearing you, but actually what I'm hearing is that you really feel very powerless about what's happening to you right now. You really feel like you'd like some support. So I've had exactly the same thing said to me. And I think it's because sometimes they have this, and we all do, right? We're all learning how to move out of these dynamics. And, I remember me when I was moving through that, I remember feeling like a victim and like I wanted to be rescued. And I just wanted someone to come in and rescue me and tell me how bad I was. And like when they wouldn't, I'm like, why won't you do this? Like, why won't you? But actually it was about me rescuing myself. So it's so interesting that so I could totally relate to that, because I've had, in fact, the exact same words, right, used to me, and that's part of their learning. But for you, for us, if we can stay in that energetic field and be able to really hold that for them like you did, like remind them who they really are, and remind them that, staying in that victim dynamic, even though you can feel like a victim for a little bit, you need to be able to move yourself out of it to actually move forward in your life. So you're reminding them who they really are, and you're reminding them of the power that they have, and you're reminding them of the support that's around them.
And it's like a spiral, isn't it? Like I see it like a spiral. You could spiral upwards, or you can spiral downwards, kind of thing. So it's like when you start thinking that way, you can go down. And I always say I have to be really careful about when the conversation turns like that, and it, because if you start feeding that, it'll just go down and down. Then so it's like, how do you kind of validate it and then start moving it back up again, that kind of way. So like it moves and moving back up again, like and just like kind of start to, definitely I think validating is important, because you have to meet somebody where they are at, and then start to kind of bring in, what's possible here now, what can we do, like, is there something we can do, and you bring in choice, especially for a child who's got that kind of inclination that tends to go down. I think because they don't see a choice, I think that's the only choice, is to be like a victim as such, but if you give them a choice, and not too many, two choices, you can do this or you can do that. And then it opens up the field then to choose to go upwards themselves, so they could either say, and we all want to go to what feels good. So if you're giving them a choice of, two different choices, and they'll pick the one that feels better, and that'll start them kind of going back up again, and it's very kind of a little system that you can use, but it does work for definitely a child that can be more negatively minded, and have a negative mindset, because all families, we all have different patterns, and you can identify a pattern that comes from a certain aspect of your family, and when one child has it, you have to be really conscious of that, and you need to have strategies in place that will help in the moment when it happens, that come in and just like have those keys and those, you know, those strategies to kind of just get really used to using all the time, that can just flip them back into that kind of upward mindset, you know, into kind of a, because like that, when we go down, and we go down and down and down, it's very hard to get, when you get stagnant, and then people, you know, teenagers won't get out of bed, and then when they don't get out of bed, that can go on for days, and then that can turn into an illness, and then they don't go to school, and then they're dropped out of school, and you know, that kind of way. So it's very important to have those strategies in place and to try and get in quick with it.
And those, there's a, like I've experienced that sometimes, you know, like having a teenage daughter, like there's so many influences coming at them that often even those opportunities, it's almost like there's a choice to not step out of it, you know. It's and so for me, bringing awareness to that, like I say, I almost feel that, you know, maybe there's something in you that wants to stay here, you know, like maybe there's something in you that wants to, that's getting some benefit from staying here. Like, would that be true? You know, so I'm sort of bringing awareness, and, you know, it's like I shared earlier today, it was like, as a parent, you can sometimes see, you can't often say things because, you know that that's not right for you to sort of bring your experience over the top, but you can see what's going on. And really, unless they want to move, and really unless they're ready and willing to change things, the only thing you can do is just make sure you're in an empowered state, right? And you and that's, I think that's when I've had moments like that. That's when I've used energy stuff like, you know, Carol has suggested to me, even that bed, you know, Carol said to me once, just before you go to sleep, imagine laying her on a bed of like a crystalline grid. And like every night for some reason it turns up a different color. And I imagine her laying on that, and I have the intention that in the morning she's reset. And I actually found that was really effective.
Wow.
You know, like, so when sometimes there's a place that I feel like there's no movement, I sort of go with the flow and go, okay, well, that's just how that is right now. But what I can do is work on myself, bring myself back into my power, and then just use that intention and work on those other levels. So I've sort of found that's a really good thing, you know?
Yeah. Sort of makes you feel like almost as like you're not doing it by yourself. You've got a, you know, there's a bigger force or a bigger light around you that's really wants to work with you, and you can, you know, there's so much help around, and it doesn't have to come through in the physical form all the time. But certainly working with this energy, the energy of self, and then the energy of your child, it really does bring, I've noticed it does bring through the right people and the right connections, and just things start to open up on that way. But it's you know, and sometimes they might not move, they might take ages to move, they might know this was like, you know, there could be a little bit, so it's like, don't give up, just keep doing, you know, really, maybe it's like, okay, I need to work more on me, or how do I, you know, tap into me more and find that inner solution within me, that then you might then just observe that child that can then, you know, move forward even more, because there's so much of a energetic dynamic around that we're so not aware of as well.
Yes.
And it is about looking and supporting your needs, your physical needs, your emotional needs, and in doing all of that, you are certainly working through all these multiple layers of, well, I'm going to put my grief, you know, like you hide, you know, we hide stuff, we hold stuff in our physical body or our emotional body. The more that we are working on ourselves, it is going to have this positive effect with your children or whoever you have, you know, the contacts that you have around you. So I would always, go into self and work on that level, as well as supporting.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great
That's
advice.
fantastic.
But that's where I've noticed changes. Yeah.
This is such a juicy conversation. Like we've made it all so practical, right? Like it's been so like, this is what you can do right now. Like it's great conversation.
Yeah.
So Carol, in the last few minutes, if you could think of a practice, or is there something that I should have probably prepared you for this? I'm sorry, but if you were talking to a parent of, say, a teenage girl, and you were thinking about something that you might have done with your daughter, or a practice that may have really helped you, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you might be able to add to the toolbox for mums?
Well, because the main, like what you were tapping into before, Caroline, the main thing is that we're so creative. We all have an innate ability to tap into our creative genius within us, whether that chooses then to be a writer, to play with art, to be a communicator, however it chooses to be. So I'd be looking at what is going, because we do feel a lot also of emotions within our tummy areas and that as well. It's just like, okay, so it's I'd be, because sorry, I'm going like that because it also varies on many different things, but I would be looking at the empowerment of the last three chakras, like the solar plexus, the navel chakra, and your base chakra, and to really look at all of that. And I'll be going, you're so creative. Let's open up your creativity. And they'll go, no, I can't draw, I can't do this, and I can't do that. And you go, it doesn't matter what you don't think you can't do. Let's just work on, it's a little bit of a game first. You just go, okay, well, let's just put we're coming into your navel chakra. It's a bit dull. They're like, Mum, no, you don't need to go there. I'm like, no. I just want to just clean it up a bit. So I'm just going to set the intention that your navel chakra is really bright and really cleaned up, and it will show you. It gives you that aha moment, or that reflection, or it just makes you feel a lot more joy or happiness. Yeah. I would say the main thing there would be really working and bringing that child and yourself into your creative energy and open it up that way, because it gets so shut down. You're about the community, your creativity and the aspect there of shutting down. And I think they're so joined when you start opening up your creativity. This is like, I've suddenly got a lot to say, or I'm feeling that there's a purpose
keep it in anymore. Then what happens? I know there's people, friends of mine as well, that are just
So I'd always be like polishing the diamond facet of your navel chakra, like as in your creative center, because it will open up your throat chakra. It will give you an expression. It will give you the purpose. It will go, oh, that's what I'm here to do. I just love this. Some kids are like that, and others are like, it's like a work in progress. It's a sculpture.
So
enjoy.
So as a mum, we would just visualize seeing that part, because it sits around your navel. We would just, as a mum, imagine just seeing that in our child being really vibrant and bright, and just shining it up, and just
Because also it's like when you're looking on another level, it's like if I'm doing inner child work with someone. It's like when we're looking at, say, the navel chakra, it's just like I stand behind people, I say, and I'm just looking that all of your energy centers are all lined up, and they're all lit up, and you're going where you need to go to. So when you first start working with someone, I'm like, the navel chakra, and then you can see 5-year-old, then you can see their 15-year-old, and it's like they're all off center. So this energy around your navel chakra, it's like, I know where I'm going, because you feel it, you feel that there's a creative force within you, but there is these glitches and these elements that I don't have, and I need all of these aspects over here of myself to embody so I can step forward on this journey. So I would keep saying, working within your navel chakra, keeping it nice and shiny. It's just like, okay, when you're you can take them on that journey of when you're, having breakfast in the morning before school or whatever. It's like, okay, we're, or even before bed's great. You're going to go, okay, we're going to unwrap the most magical gift within your navel chakra, and anything that you've got in there that you've held on to all day, that we're just going to ask that we just take it out and put it to the side, so that your navel chakra can just shine so brightly. And that is, really like expressing it as a gift. And being present in that gift and getting to open that gift every day. Like, yeah. I mean, I've worked with, kiddies when they're going to sleep. It's like they will draw a rainbow, or they'll have a chart, they draw themselves, and they'll have a colours. And it's like, okay, what colour do you need to look at tonight? What colour are you most drawn to?
Okay. And
they'll go, whatever, it could be green. I'm like, okay. So you put your green quilt, your green cover over you, and it's all green, and we could put some green unicorn. It all depends what age they're at. But you can horns any age, doesn't matter. And it's just like, but it's that fun. It's that creativity. It's the nurturing of that. It's the nurturing also of the mother-daughter, the mother-daughter line, the umbilical cord, like the whole, it's the nurturing of that. I mean, when creativity is just, I'm saying it as it's like one little word, but there's so much more underneath it, where it's such a colour field, a vibration of colour. And, I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but it opens up. So definitely that's be my centre to go to, would be the navel chakra. Where do you hold your anxiety a lot? You hold your anxiety and everything in the tummy and your gut.
Definitely. So we have an idea of we call it unboxing ourselves. So it's kind of like that unboxing, the unboxing they do on YouTube. So it's like that for the kids. Maybe they could understand that as well. Like it's because it's very exciting. It even the sound of it when you say like shining from all those visual language. Nearly, I can imagine a child being able to visualize that, from early age.
It's so quick. Yeah. Yeah. And they know, because it's like you have this beautiful, it's an honoring to be working with this beautiful light that, that's there, and they're looking at you, and you go, and when you start tapping in and you go, and I can, you start just showing them what they can unwrap and open up. And it's just like their eye, it's just like, can you see, to have someone see that within you, but everyone can see that within their child, but it's also seeing that within yourself as well. So it's more that you're tapping into yourself, the more that then you can travel into this amazing journey with children or, with adults, whoever you choose to work across. But it's like, it's a field of colour and energy. Opens up to the universe. And I always say to my daughter, the universe has ears. So what ears? It's like always. So if you're saying
That's great. I love it. Oh my gosh, what a juicy conversation.
Yeah, amazing. I love that.
So good.
Yeah, and I was just actually a question when you were said about the eyes, because I noticed that I always look at children's eyes, to see if that the twinkle in their eyes, the sparkle in their eyes, kind of thing. I always feel that's a sign that they're kind of, they're happy and they're kind of in their creative flow, kind of thing. And I wonder, is that connected to the chakras in any way? Like, to think to the creative chakra, like, the clarity of the eyes. There's a clarity that you can kind of see. Yeah.
And it's like, there's it's the sparkle you get when you're talking, and you can feel this, and it's just like, oh, that's so exciting when you get that, and it's just like that's your own. There's such a divine presence there. You can feel that energy within them, and they're going to want to show you more. And it's just like that's beautiful.
So just our mums to watch out for that. It's a simple thing, isn't it? Like, just to see if you can see that lovely light and sparkle in their eyes, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's what you're trying to get to.
That's important too, because sometimes we can be activated, right, and we can forget how much that is in our daughter and how much we love that in our daughter. So really important to remember that. Well, we need to start wrapping this amazing conversation up, but I mean, we might need to have another one soon, because I think we've got more questions now. Carol, thank you so much for joining us and sharing so openly and giving us all those little beautiful magic tips to use. Was really grateful to you. If you would like to join Carol and I, we're on every morning. We also have our last free webinar series this week, and it's, actually talking about your unique diamond design. So what you can do to come into that place in yourself so that you can actually really support your daughter, and that will be on Thursday night if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or Friday morning, and it will be recorded. So please register if you haven't, because you can watch the replay, and the link is below or on our sites, wherever you find this video. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Caroline. Anything else we need to say, Caroline?
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Carol. Sorry. Thank you, Caroline.
Oh, it's amazing to meet you, Carol, and just so much wisdom there to share with everybody, and loads of feminine first aid tips.
Absolutely.
I love it, absolutely. And I think we're just we definitely have her on again, Lisa, won't we?
Yep. For sure.
We'll have to tap into your wisdom a little bit more, I think.
All right. Well, thank you so much for asking me. It's been fun. And yeah, thank you. Right.
And
Thanks,
thanks
Carol.
everybody for
Thanks,
listening,
everyone.
watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.